Hello and welcome to A Bettor Morning presented by Rival Fantasy. I'm Heather Klein. Rival Fantasy is the all-in-one fantasy sports platform. Let's welcome today's panel. Fantasy Alarm, lead NFL analyst and host of Fantasy Fiasco, Andrew Coop Cooper. Award-winning host, the Fantasy exec, Corey Parson. Host of Her Story in the Making, Britt's Fantasy Blitz, and co-host of Lightning Round, Britt Flynn. Welcome, everyone.
Good morning, Heather. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for asking. It's hump day, guys.
Let's go, dude.
I'm ready.
All right.
All right, let's get to it. Seattle Seahawks rookie wide receiver Jaxon Smith-Njigba underwent surgery yesterday to repair a broken bone in his wrist. The injury occurred during their preseason Saturday against the Dallas Cowboys. He's expected to miss 3 to 4 weeks. What are your thoughts on his return time, and do you feel they should give him more time to heal? Britt, you're up first.
I think that it is so silly for Pete Carroll to come out and say that he is optimistic when the timetable is 3 to 4 weeks and the first game is in 18 or 19 days. We kind of dealt with the same thing last year with Jerry Jones refusing to put Dak Prescott on IR because he was optimistic that Dak could come back. And what happened? Oh, the doctors were right. Newsflash, guys, listen to your doctors. Stop making your own timetable that fits your narrative or what you want to do and just acknowledge the facts and the science. JSN is going to miss practice when he's still learning the system. Don't put a rookie out there who isn't fully healed. You're putting your team and that player at a disadvantage long-term by rushing him back. Just let him heal.
Yeah, some coaches like Bill Belichick never say anything at all. Pete Carroll falls into the category of coaches where I don't believe a single word that guy has ever said, and I never will. So it doesn't really matter what Pete Carroll says to me. What matters to me is I already thought that Jaxon Smith-Njigba is a great player, but that he might start his career the way Chris Godwin did, where he didn't break out till year 3, really, because he was behind Mike Evans and Deshaun Jackson. JSN might not take that full trajectory, that full length, but I think that when you look at Mike Evans and Deshaun Jackson, DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett are probably just as good, if not better, which might make JSN a part-time player, and him missing the start of the season and the rest of the preseason is probably just going to make that even easier for them to keep those guys in the field.
Yeah, this news tempers my expectations a little bit. A player that I have a lot of shares of, and I'm going to be paying an even better price moving forward. I hope he is out there week 1, but I do understand the reason to be worried about his status moving forward. But I'm going to continue to draft him. I think the talent is too real, and as long as he's healthy, you can't really keep talent off the field. What I think is going to be interesting is like going into last season, people were fading Metcalf and Lockett because of the fact that they thought that Geno wasn't going to be the man, and Geno was the man. So this year you had another piece, and I like all three. You know what I'm saying? Lockett is criminally discounted. He's a player that can win you a championship, particularly at where he's going. But I was kind of wondering, as we go to the full screen with all of us, is there a wide receiver this year that we are afraid of, like we were afraid of Lockett and Metcalf last year, as far as, a wide receiver? Is it Terry McLaurin? Because now all of a sudden today, everybody loves Sam Howell today. You know what I'm saying? Is that player out there this year?
Yeah, I mean, like, there's one player for sure that I've been taking a ton of for that exact reason. It's Deontay Johnson, where he has 140 targets 3 years in a row. Right?
Hopkins.
What?
Hopkins.
I said Deontay Johnson.
Oh, Deontay Johnson. Okay.
Deontay Johnson, 140 targets 3 years in a row. And then last year, because Mitch Trubisky and a rookie quarterback, Kenny Pickett, didn't really pop, he had 0 touchdowns. And I'm seeing on, sites like FFPC and RT Sports, he goes crazy low. You can draft him as like your wide receiver 5. I mean, I'm happy as him as my wide receiver 2 or 3 in a lot of formats. But we're scared of Kenny Pickett. Same thing. What if he takes a step forward? Now Deontay Johnson is getting his 140 targets that he always gets and scoring touchdowns.
I think it's Chris Godwin for me. I've seen Chris Godwin still go criminally low.
Ooh.
We know that we don't like Baker Mayfield, but I don't think that's going to matter with Godwin. If you look at what his ADOT was last year, it was like 5 yards 4.95, I think it was. And Baker's yards per attempt has declined every single year, last year down to 6.5. If he wants to keep his job, he has to be secure with the ball. And he's not going to do that chucking it downfield. It's going to be those little short dump offs, and Godwin is going to be the beneficiary of that. I think he's still going in the wide receiver 30-ish, 35-ish range. He's a huge value to me.
Yeah, if you look at his line that's set with a lot of the sports books, that's a bet Chris Godwin that I'm willing to make. I'm willing to give this one out for free. We don't even have to wait for dealer's choice. He said at like 725 yards is where Chris Godwin is set, and he hasn't had that few yards since his rookie year. Even his second year, which wasn't really his like big breakout year, he had more than 725 yards. He had like 800.
Because I was concerned that this could be possibly a reason why you can get Devontae Adams in the middle of the second round. I think that's a mistake too, because Devontae Adams had 180 targets last year. He caught 100 passes. I think if you get 180 targets from Jimmy G, he probably catch 120 of those. So yeah. I don't know. He's in the second round of drafts, and I'm like, you mean I can start like A.J. Brown, DeAndre Hopkins? I can start Travis Kelce, DeAndre Hopkins. I mean not Hopkins, excuse me. Devontae Adams.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I got some teams
where excellent AD. That's an excellent ADP right there. You looking past him. That's a mistake.
With our mock draft we did yesterday on lightning rounds, one guy who's first time doing one of these drafts with us started Saquon Barkley, Devontae Adams, and I was like, if those guys are just the guys that they usually are, then that thing is going to crash.
We're here to get you ready for your fantasy football draft. Start a free 7-day trial of Fantasy Alarm's All-Pro subscription and get the Fantasy Football Draft Guide and Cheat Sheet free. Go to fantasyalarm.com/draft. A great quarterback wide receiver connection can create wins, especially when there's a solid offense, like my guys Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Coop, give us your best QB wide receiver fantasy football stack for this upcoming season.
They might not be as good as Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown, but I'm going to go with Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen. Give me two guys that I'm betting on Justin Herbert to lead the league in passing yards. And Keenan Allen is a guy who, when he came back from injury last year, he was the second best wide receiver in PPR behind only Justin Jefferson. So these two guys, they could potentially be the highest scoring players at their positions. It's not outside the realm of possibility. And you can get them at the round 3-4 stack. They're both going somewhere from pick 40 to 50. So if you're picking at that swing, say you pick at the end of the first round, if you're picking at the swing on the way back, you just go Herbert, Allen, done. Stack them right up.
Yeah, this is interesting, right? He actually was going to do something on this today. All my favorite stacks. It's a lot of them that I'm intrigued with and trying to get in on. I just did Jackson and Andrews the other day. I've done Burrow and Chase earlier this season. Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes is legendary. That's championship stack. But man, if I had to pick a favorite one, and you involve ADP, I think it's got to be Hurts and AJ Brown. I mean, AJ Brown last year, at like 17 yards a catch, that's elite numbers right there. So I think AJ Brown, and then maybe you got to come back quick. If you're at the end of one and you take Brown at 111, on that 2-3 turn, you're gonna have to grab Hurts right there. You may have to take Hurts as the first quarterback off the board, but with Hurts' rushing upside, I would say the Hurts AJ Brown stack is my top stack going into the season, even though I love Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase.
Yeah, those stacks really depend on your draft position and where you're going and how much you're willing to reach to complete that stack. And one of the ones that I've seen myself reaching on a ton is what you said, Corey, is the Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase stack. There are so many good ones out there, and I don't think that you can outright say that someone is the best because they all have something to offer and different strengths and drawbacks. But Burrow and Chase, the best friend factor plays in there. And we've seen them be successful for longer than we have Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown. I know that they're supposedly best friends too, but we've just seen the Burrow-Chase connection a little bit longer. I think Burrow is a better pure passer than Hurts. Obviously, Hurts does have his rushing upside, and I'm not discounting his talent, but Chase is so dominant with that 4.39 speed and route running ability. It's a tough choice, but you got to give me Hurts and Burrow, or Chase and Burrow.
The problem I run into with that one is that I just don't like picking Burrow where I have to get it done.
Why not?
Because I don't like here. The problem you run into is you gotta, like, you really think about it. You have to take Chase at 1 or 2, right?
Mhm.
So then it goes around, and then at that 2-3 turn there, you got to take Joe Burrow, because Joe Burrow's ADP is like 38 or so, right? So I love it if he goes all the way around and comes to me, but that's almost too easy. And a lot of times the guy that drafts T. Higgins is also lurking in there trying to do his stack too.
100%, yeah.
So it's kind of tough to get that one. I mean, but the one I said was pretty tough too. But yeah, it's I only feel good about it if he makes it all the way back. If he does, then I feel great about it.
You see, the thing with the draft capital thing to me is like, and this is what I warn fantasy owners is about, getting in the draft and picking players. With me, at some point, I'm throwing ADP out the window and I'm building my team regardless of ADP, because I'm not just picking players. I'm putting these players on the team for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Like the other night when I got the Jackson Andrews stack, right? I'm like, okay, that's a week 7 buy. I believe that was a week 7 buy, or maybe week 13, something like that. So what it was week 13 buy. So I came back, I looked at week 13 schedule, and I was like, oh, Steelers at home versus Cardinals, Kenny Pickett and Pat F. And I drafted Kenny Pickett and Dak Prescott was on the board. You know what I'm saying? So at that point, I'm just building my team and I'm throwing ADP out the window.
Yeah, I'll tell you that week 13, everybody's going to need a tight end. I was looking at it yesterday, and it's not just Andrews. It's Andrews, Hawkinson, Waller, Kincaid and Knox, Cole Kmet. Like that's the tight end week of death.
The week of death.
Yeah.
But no, I will say that ADP is a construct, and people who stand by ADP to the letter of the law, you end up getting good teams, but they're not championship teams. Like, to have a championship team, you have to deviate from ADP. And that's where I think that Burrow Chase stack is worth taking a swing on, because if you believe that Joe Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks in the league, why not deviate from ADP and take him and get your stack? Makes sense to me.
So you're saying ADP is like the Matrix, and you can either take like the red pill or the blue pill, and there's just too many people taking the wrong pill, just stuck eating that steak, right?
Too many people are taking placebos.
I gotta chase. I want to find the team. We can go to the next question. I'll read it off later, but I'm gonna find the team right now and read you my Chase Burrow stack team and see if you guys approve.
Yeah, let's see it.
The NBA fined Philadelphia 76ers James Harden $100,000 for indicating that he would not perform the services called for under his player contract unless traded to another team, after his comments made against Sixers president of basketball operations Daryl Morey as well. The NBAPA is filing a grievance to dispute the fine. Do you feel the fine is too heavy, and did he violate any rules? Corey, you're up first.
Oh, thank you. All right, so this right here, when I saw this hefty fine that that they put on James Harden, so basically what they're saying is, okay, since you're not going to tell us that Philadelphia promised you a contract, right? And so since you're not going to tell us that, and since you're going to, not snitch, for example, toe the company line, what I would do is just. So basically what they did was they're punishing Harden for not giving them the information that they want. So they're taking something that he said and they're turning it around and they're using it against him. Really, they wanted Harden to say, Daryl Morey told me blank, 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 so they can go after the 76ers. But when Harden said, no, this was about something else, they said, okay, since you want to play like that, we're going to fine you $100,000, essentially for not telling us the truth. So that's how they're combating it. But I think the fine is too heavy. If I'm the NBA PA, I appeal this fine, and I think you can at least get $25,000 knocked off this fine. It's a little bit too excessive for really them being mad at James Harden.
Yeah, this is just absolutely ridiculous. The max fine the NBA can issue, all for calling Daryl Morey a liar. The whole thing is based on the premise that he violated the rules about public trade demands, but it's very, very wishy-washy. I know that the NBA sent out a memo during the whole Damian Lillard fiasco that said any player or agent who makes public or private comments indicating he won't fully perform is subject to discipline, blah, 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 blah. Harden did technically violate that, but $100,000, it's way too excessive. There's also an issue of how far the private comment clause reaches. Are you going to install listening devices on these players? Are you going to bug their homes? Like, this is all just a little too extreme and definitely needs an appeal.
And I'll say this about the max fine. James Harden, his contract that he opted into, 2 years, $68 million. And, apparently he has an offer from Saudi Arabia for like $900 million. Like $100,000 for James Harden is a stern, solid night out in Atlanta. Like $100,000 isn't that.
Run them tabs up, bro.
Yeah. compared to the other side that Corey's talking about, where they want the info. The last time something like this happened, it was the Timberwolves. Basically, they had like a hush-hush deal with Josh Smith to keep giving him 1 year cheap deals until they could sign him to a bird rights deal. And the league found out about it. You know what the penalty for that was for the Timberwolves? 5 first-round picks. Yeah. They lost 5 first-round picks, eventually got one of them back, but also got fined $3.5 million. So James Harden keeping his mouth shut, there's probably another under-the-table deal for him to do that. Because
probably so. Daryl Morey might pay the fine.
Daryl Morey's paying that out of pocket. Yeah, because they're, the team takes this very seriously. Last time, Kevin McHale got suspended, everybody got into some crazy trouble, and the contract got voided in the first place. He opted into that $36 million a year. He wasn't getting that anywhere else. So, the whole thing is a couple
more
big
than likely. Daryl Morey told him, you opt out this year so we can get PJ Tucker, and then next year you opt in, and we'll make up the difference. And that's illegal. Right. But then when they came to James Harden was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Of course he was.
Yeah. Of course he was. So then they was like, all right, well, we'll show you, but you're right. James Harden has made over $300 million in his career. You know what I'm saying? He'd be all right.
He'll be.
And then you're right. James Harden, he's a big tipper.
That's right.
But it's just the principle, though. I know that he can afford it, but the principle of a max fine for saying that is just excessive.
That's true. Yeah. The idea of the max fine. You know what the biggest fine in NBA history for a player was?
Was it Ron Artest?
No, it was well, I guess if you count the games, the money he lost being suspended, then maybe. But the biggest fine issued by a team, $500,000. No, it was a Lakers player that lied about he hurt his shoulder snowboarding and lied about it. $500,000. So these player fines, they don't really get crazy ever.
If that's the case, the 76ers, I know somebody that owed the 76ers money. Because they had a player that they drafted get hurt.
Happens.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. That was today's edition of A Bettor Morning. Corey, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Oh, the team. Yeah, here we go, right here. So
real quick.
I found the team. And I'm like, this is, you draft these teams, you put these teams together, and then you go back and look at them. So Joe Burrow, Joe Burrow and Anthony Richardson are the quarterbacks. The running backs, listen to the running backs. I tell you, I can't win in fantasy football to save my life. Josh Jacobs and J.K. Dobbins. And I'm like, at the time, that sounded like such a good idea. You know what I'm saying? But Tank Bigsby is on that team, so I feel good about that. Wide receivers, Jamar Chase, Tyler Lockett, Deebo Samuel, Odell Beckham. Look at this. Jamison Williams, you know what I'm saying? Okay. And then you got Evan Ingram on that team as well. So if the running backs show up to play, I think it'll be all right.
Yeah, for sure. I'm starting to come around on all these Ravens wide receivers, man. Even Odell. I want to take more stabs. Rashad Bateman too. I know he's got the foot, but Zay Flowers, those guys, man. I'm kind of excited for this new offense.
All right, it's now dealer's choice. Give us your best bet. It can be on any topic and any sport. Let's go with Coop first. Coop, you're up.
All right, I'm going with one. It's a mistake that I've made last year. Tommy is in the chat. Tommy Roush, get in the game. I was in on the Denver Broncos last year. I made a bet with him that the Broncos would finish higher than the Las Vegas Raiders. They would have a better record. Loser eats a tomato live on stream. I did have to eat a tomato over that bet. This year, I think the Broncos are going to bounce back under Sean Payton. I'm taking the Broncos over 8.5 wins. And guess what, Tommy? If you want it, that bet's back on the table.
Oh, wow. There you go.
Tomato bet. I still have tomato seeds in my keyboard, but the bet's back on the table if you want to take it again. Double or nothing. Broncos over the Raiders and Broncos over 8.5 games. Sean Payton, baby. That's what I'm betting on. Betting on one man, Sean Payton.
I would eat a tomato whole any day of the week. That doesn't sound like a punishment to me.
That's disgusting.
Tomatoes are amazing. Are you kidding me?
No.
Anyway, I'm going with the Detroit Tigers money line this afternoon at -115 against the Cubs. The Cubs have struggled pretty bad against left-handed pitchers this season, and Tariq Skubal has been on fire this month with a 2.5 ERA. Jameson Taillon, on the other hand, has struggled with an ERA of 6 in August, and these games have been close, with the series currently split 1-1. If you don't feel totally comfortable with the Tigers money line, I would also lay some money on the over of 8.5 runs at -110. This is going to be a great game with very active bats, but the Tigers should ultimately come away with that win.
All right, so we got a little college football. See if I can find a line on this game yet. No, can't do that. All right, so let's go Heisman Trophy. I give you a couple options. Heisman Trophy. I've probably done this already, but it's rehash it and refresh it in your memory. You know what I mean? Fantasy exec Caleb Williams, I think about plus 500, 5-1 to be the first dude since Archie Griffin to win the Heisman Trophy 2 times. So I like that. I like Jaden Daniels, the quarterback from LSU. I would put a little something on him. And then in the wide receiver room, Marvin Harrison Jr. could be, we talked about JSN and Olave and all of these guys, these young wide receivers. Harrison Jr. has the lineage to be better than all of them. You know what I'm saying? So I'd put something on him. But those are the 3 players right there that I'd be putting a couple dollars on to win the Heisman Trophy this year.
Yeah, I want to ask you guys, as college football folk, more college football than I am, what the hell is with this week 0? Okay, like, why do they do a week 0 just full of terrible games? It's like the preseason, but it counts? Like, what is this? What are these games?
Television. It's for television. That's what that is. It's made for television. I mean, look who you got. You got Notre Dame. You got USC. You know what I'm saying?
Notre Dame. Yeah, Notre Dame at Navy, though. These are all, these are one
but
real
it's
game.
in Ireland.
Yeah, right, exactly. That's the trick, right? It's like bad football game, but in Ireland, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha, right? It's like, woof.
I think it's good, though, with college starting back up and all the kids are on campus. Like, let's just get this ball rolling. Let's soft launch college football before we go into
Is there even a game where the spread isn't double digits? That's my question.
The state
that's college
South
football
Carolina
as a
State and
whole.
Jackson State, the spread won't be double digits. You probably can money line the MEACs. You probably can money line State too, because Jackson State is probably going to be the favorite. I think there is another game that has a single-digit spread this weekend, but it may not be something that you want to watch. You know what I'm saying? Like New Mexico State and UMass is a single-digit spread.
UMass, dude, let's go.
Yeah,
Go break out your gear,
Victor Cruz, baby, what's up?
John Calipari, John Calipari and John Chaney epic locker room fight.
The dust up, the great dust up, the Hobart Hoedown.
John Chaney said, "I'll kick your butt." John Chaney was like 80 years old.
That's the best, dude. I love when the execs fight like that. My favorite one was when the hockey GM, somebody signed a restricted free agent, and he told the other GM, he's like, "I'm renting a barn and we're fighting."
That's what you got to do. That would be an interesting topic. You know what I'm saying? Not only that, fights, but also you could do like managerial, the best rants. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? As far as I'm a man, I'm 40.
I'm
You know what I
40.
mean?
I have a beard. They are who we thought they were. And
They
we
are
let
who
them
we
off the
thought they
hook.
were. Oh, the greatest of all time, Hal McRae. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Yeah. I like the funny ones too. Like, who was the coach of the Buccaneers that was like, they were like, well, how do you think your team executed? And he was like, they block like that next week, I'm gonna take them out back and execute them myself.
Yeah. And this interesting comment from Better Boss. Marvin Harrison, worthy of tanking your dynasty fantasy league. I've never heard of tanking in dynasty.
Yeah, there's 2 ways to tank in dynasty. One which I am on board with. One which is absolutely bad sportsmanship. If you bench your good players and just don't start them, that is not allowed in any.
To me, that's low character.
That's lame. If you trade away your older good players, like let's say you have Kelsey or Darren Waller, you trade those guys away for future picks and stuff, and then you come in last, that's okay. I said that's the spirit of the game. So if you are sitting there and you don't think you can win this year, trade away your good players, get Marvin Harrison, and try and win a couple in a row later. So I think that is within the spirit of the game. Don't put guys don't bench Austin Eckler so you get Marvin Harrison Jr. That ruins the league.
But if I tank in dynasty, why won't I just draft Caleb Williams?
Well, you're making a lot of sense here, Corey. That's why you got to trade for multiple picks if you're going to do it right.
Yeah. I guess it depends on how your team is built. You could have a young quarterback already, so yeah.
It depends on the format. In Superflex, it's Caleb Williams and nobody else.
That was today's edition of A Bettor Morning. Thank you to Corey, Britt, and Coop. Make sure you check out Quick Out Fantasy Football with John and Pemba and our very own Coop at 1 p.m. Eastern. And if you missed any of our shows, you can find them all on our YouTube channel and at bettorsports.com. We wish everybody a better day.